Good evening, adventurers, and welcome to something Rainworld related. I touched a little bit on this earlier, but didn't do a particularly good job of describing what exactly I was going to be doing. So that's what this is. A little bonus video, description on what exactly I'm planning on doing with this somewhat large and lore expansive type mod. Let's start out with our fresh new player Slug Cat, a cute little guy that I'm calling the Adventurer, because that's just appropriate, is it not? He was created by a new iterator that I've come up with called 8 Viridian Peaks, lovely green man, and he's been around for a long time as pretty much the favored creation, being sent all over the place to do all sorts of different things. And in that time he's been hurt and repaired and been given biometric extras, the most notable of which is a weaponized right arm, which you can load a spear into and, using a food pip, launch it with enough velocity to actually crack the armor of a lizard's head. And I'd say do like 3 damage. You know, make it hurt, but not overpowered. I want to say he's also got the ability to read pearls, not necessarily the most accurately. It's up to this guy's weird interpretation and possible misreading of it, but if you pick up a pearl, he'll have something to say about it. And he can do this because he starts out with the Mark of Communication. AVP was kind enough to give that to him, and kind of hangs around in the form of a backpack on his back that has communications hardware in it that allows a single overseer, that's what I'm looking for, to emit from it and look around and tell him things, and probably make scavengers throw things at you. I'll have to check on how that'll work. It could be an interesting thing that happens, is getting spears chucked in your general direction. Maybe I'll give you a parry so that you could catch them out of the air like some kind of badass. That backpack also has some storage built into it, so you can have 6 extra slots to put things other than just your stomach. Although whatever you put into it will be extracted at random. And it's meant to hold neurons. So that's your main goal, is to find them and collect them. And if you find or make one, it takes up that slot permanently. So that's kind of a balance as the game goes on. Whenever you find neurons, that's one less slot of things that you can hold, and you end up with just having yourself. And why are we collecting neurons? That's a secret. You'll have to find that out. Also, I think I'm going to give him the ability to wear vulture masks. Like, so you can have both hands free, and make a little animation of him, like, stretching it out on a rubber band and letting it slap him in the face, because that's funny. So that's our adventurer. He's going to be normal Slug Cat stats. So it's not going to be drastically different than playing, like, Survivor, except for you have, like, a cannon and can read things. And I show him here not wearing anything, but I think I might give him a shirt, like a ghillie suit or a cloak. I think that might be something good to separate him, other than being slightly gray and having a scar, which I don't even know if that scar is going to be able to show up in any appreciable way on his face whenever it comes time to, do pixel art. But that does bring us to the main feature, which is an entirely new region that I'm calling the, the Golden Grove is the entrance area. I think the entire area I'll call the Wild Woods. And it is a less industrial, more woodsy themed area, who is inhabited by a smallish local group of iterators. There's 4 of them. From left to right, we have Silver Sojourn, 8 Viridian Peaks, Wind the Valley, and number 11. And their gimmick is that instead of using tons and tons of water to cool themselves, they use special structures on the outside of their cans to cool themselves using the air. These structures would create large updrafts around the outside of the can, so whenever you're navigating them, there would be a pseudo low gravity effect as the wind is pushing you up and making you jump higher, and feeling just generally more lightweight. This could, however, push you into a cooling structure which glow red hot, and it would toast you immediately. Not very fun. This also means that there's not massive rainfall in the night, so you could just kind of hang around and do all kinds of fun nighttime things and meet the nighttime mobs and look at the stars and things, but keep in mind that some nights they would be doing much more heavy processing and need much more heavy cooling, which would make the updrafts much stronger and could just send you into the stratosphere. So that's what you got to worry about at nighttime, is getting thrown off of the place by massive updrafts. Sounds like a good balance, and interesting. Some water has to be used for the biological processes within them, but that is sucked up through wells within their structures, and each one of them is more or less built into the side of this large ring of mountains. So they pick up water from a local aquifer that is managed by number 11. Now, who is number 11, you may ask? That is one of our 4 iterators. Number 11 is the progenitor of this local group, the Golden Grove group. And he is an odd duck, mostly in that he is a prototype iterator. So his can structure is completely different and very modular. And rather than living inside of a little central box, he has this large central entire floor to walk around on that is open to the air with closable windows and stuff that allows him to be more or less free across the entire area of a level of his can, with pillars and access shafts, of course, piercing through it, mainly a very large one in the middle that holds a central structure, which I'll touch on later. And after the wildly successful air-cooled iterator test program that was completed by number 11 and the ancients who built him, the other 3 could be put in place. The first one, on the western flank of the caldera, is Silver Sojourn. She's soft and kind, and a little bit put out by being stuck in a box all day, especially after hearing all the lovely descriptions of the beauty in the world around them given to everybody by number 11. The structure of her can is actually very similar to Looks to the Moon's, as this entire area is of that same vintage. As you can see with the similar structure with the abstract convergence manifold on the left, and the power delivery systems down below it, and the laboratories and large vertical chamber off to the right. Our next iterator is 8 Viridian Peaks, and he is more or less a mirror image of Silver Sojourn, with the convergence manifold on the right and everything just reversed. Wind in the Valley is a little bit different than those 2. Her convergence manifold is on the left like Silver Sojourn's, but power delivery and the gravitational systems are all on the right-hand side, as well as laboratories being present on the left and right sides of the can, with a central sensor structure that's able to read the air quality below it as she sits in between a large valley. In that respect, she's slightly more similar to number 11, who has his laboratories on the left and right side, although they're completely modular and could be removed and replaced at will with some sort of flying device. He also has 2 convergence manifolds, giving him massively increased computational power, which requires 2 power delivery areas. His gravitational systems are also much more different than the rest of them, being a large annular system that surrounds a central structure, which is called the cistern, because number 11 also manages water intake into the aquifer, as well as filtration and other systems like that. That's actually a way that you can travel between all of the iterators, is by jumping into the cistern and doing some swimming and parkour and stuff to enter the aquifer area. And that would bring us to our regions in the area. I want to have some dedicated extra regions. They're probably not going to be that expansive, but the main central region is called the aquifer, and it's kind of an underground cave full of crystals and all kinds of interesting stuff like that, and maybe some new enemies, that links all 4 of the iterators together. Externally, they are linked by the Jade Valley, which is more of just an open air type thing, like a large just exterior zone, so that you don't necessarily have to go into the cavey areas. You can go between them in the woods and get plucked up by vultures and things like that if that's your game. You enter the area through the Golden Grove, which would have a link to probably Outskirts. I feel like is a good place to have some of that, maybe Industrial Complex. You'll start in a small wooded area that'll just kind of give you the impression that there's something different going on here, but you'll quickly go into the main part of the game to do your job, which I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but I will let you know that 8 Viridian Peaks wants to meet Looks to the Moon. And your job is to bring her to him. That's all I'll say about that. But once you enter the Golden Groves, you'll go into the open cut, which is a heavy industrial, like logging type operation that's been abandoned eons ago because the ancients are all gone. So there'll be a lot of fallen trees and mechanical stuff of that nature, and it'll be more grown up and green, and I feel like its general color palette will be a little bit dirtier. Then you can either go into the Jade Valley from there, or there'll be an entrance to a mine area called the Stopes. And it'll be very blocky and square, carved away by giant machinery, but still underground and actually not grown up very much at all. Lovely, isn't it? So I believe that's just kind of a general overview of what this is going to be. I haven't quite got a name for it yet, other than just calling it The Adventurer, which I could be The Adventurer's Tale, or just the Golden Grove, or something like that. I'll come up with something. And whenever I get some work done on it, I'm going to work on the player character first and get them actually running. I might even do a little bit of a let's play with them and see how egregiously overpowered it is to be able to pin anything through the wall. Or crack lizard skulls. Or should I give it collateral damage and have you be able to pin multiple things together, or if you hit something that's soft, it goes through them. That would be unique. But I'll play test these things and get some input to see what looks right whenever the time comes, and put up some little dev blogs and stuff as things go along.